I'm still Jennie from the block.
It's Jennie from the block.
That's
Okay,
me.
that's you. That's you. What are we talking about here today?
All right. Today we were talking about hyperlocal real estate, everything to do with hyperlocal. Let's start with the basics. What does hyperlocal mean when it comes to real estate?
So when Matt and I started talking about this 6-7 years ago, we started talking about how can we serve clients at a higher level. And we started asking ourselves the questions like, well, okay, you would need to know the data better than anybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't possibly know the data for the entire DMV area, right? It'd just be too tough to do. Mm-hmm. So you'd have to really go small in order to go big. And so we started saying, well, what if we just started focusing more in our backyard, in places that we already live, work, give, play, and we want to serve in those areas. And so hyperlocal is really just niching down into the community that you want to serve, the community that you want to be a superhero to. And so there's hyperlocal geographic, and then there's kind of going after psychographic markets. Today, I think we're just going to go into the hyperlocal geographic market, right? Mm-hmm. And so, the best way to think about it, Jennie, is just your local realtor, your local plumber, your local dry cleaner, right? That is what hyperlocal is about. It's about being the community ambassador in the community that you want to serve.
And how would an agent decide on, what neighborhood to focus on? Is it where their sphere is? Is it where their network is, or is it where they live? Like, what would you recommend to agents that are really looking to focus on that hyperlocal?
It's about the area that what I found is the area that they become passionate about. And many times people become passionate about the community that they live in themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Where they might walk their dog, or where their children play, or where their children go to school, right? You get tied to the community and you become passionate about it. And so you should really target based on your passion, the area that you want to serve. Yes, you need to look at what turnover rate looks like in maybe a particular neighborhood or neighborhoods, but I find that if you can provide the passion, if you're passionate about it, that's the key element more than anything else, right? I know that we've failed forward in this area before, where we've told people, hey, we want you to cover this area, and this is going to be your area, and it's got a great turnover rate. But we've then learned, you know what? If they're not there every day, and if they're not passionate about it, they're not going to do it, right? So I think passion is the key indicator. Do you love it?
Yeah. Definitely. Can you, as an agent, set up that, kind of model from the beginning, or is this something that kind of develops over time?
No, you can absolutely set it up from the beginning, right? I know very successful agents that never had a network and just decided I'm going to ingrain myself in this community and make my network, I'm going to create my network out of this community, right? So you can absolutely start hyperlocal first and grow in concentric circles from there, right? Some people come in with a really big sphere or have a sphere already, mm-hmm. and some of those people might be outside of your target market. And sometimes, honestly, that can be a little distracting for people, right?
Yeah.
Because, your sphere, the people that you love already know you, like you, and trust you, so they're willing to give you a shot. And, but that could scatter you all over the place if you're not careful. We normally do teach agents how to do that. Sorry, let me try to shut that down. We normally teach agents to do that because it is the easiest thing to do. But very quickly, we want them to find a hyperlocal geographic market that they can fall in love with and start building more relationships there in that market.
How do you specifically teach hyperlocal? Like, what are the things that you teach, for somebody that's interested in learning more about the hyperlocal business model?
We talk about activating the farm. There's like 5 steps to activating the farm, right? And if you will actually maybe go through 6 steps, because you got to pick it first, right? So find the area that you love, that you want to serve, number one. Understand the data in that market and really research the data in that market. Find out who the top players are in that market, to understand what they're doing and how you kind of fit in, how you might be able to fit in from a marketing standpoint. I call this creating your zone, or zoning your business. You need to first start off by asking yourself, some important questions like, who's dominating this market? What's their messaging? And then how am I going to play into that? And then once you've decided what it is, once you've made the commitment, this is my place, I'm planting my flag here, then it's about getting the work and doing the activity required, which is going to be a combination of 3 things, right? Prospecting, networking, and marketing. Those are the 3 things. Those are the 3 ways, right? We start with prospecting first because it is the easiest, lowest cost thing to do. I mean, you need to get into a relationship with somebody, and it all starts by having a conversation, whether it's over the phone or it's belly to belly, right? So Matt on our team, as you know, built his by knocking on doors and adding value to people in his community. And he would knock on 40 doors a day, which meant 17 discussions with people. And then what he would do is he would collect email addresses where people gave him the email address because he was providing something valuable to them, like free events, brewery events, all the rest, right? Oh, cool. So actually we're gonna show these coming on the screen here, right? Love the intro to the meeting. Yes, great. Yes, not quite allowed to do that, but we'll do that. Is always, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So anyhow, if you do have questions, we could stream them on here. We're using StreamYard, which is really cool. Feel free to ask questions because we're on different channels right now. So Jennie, go back. I got distracted by that. It was, activating the farm, right?
Yes. So, door knocking. You were talking about door knocking with Matt. Yep. Providing value. Yep.
And the idea is to become omnipresent, right? When they're thinking of real estate, they're thinking of that community ambassador. They're thinking of that agent that's going to serve the neighborhood. So 40 doors, 17 discussions, which resulted, I want to believe he was getting like 25 to 30%. He might jump on here and say, no, I was getting 50%. But I think he was getting like 25 or 30% email addresses from those discussions. And then the more people saw him in the community, the more email addresses he was collecting, because he was inviting them to awesome events like brewery events or ice cream socials or photos with the family, right? The idea is to make friends in the community, right? It's not more complicated than that. If you make friends and serve the community and provide value, you can become the hyper local agent of choice in that market, right? But it starts with a commitment. And so prospecting first. Networking can come in a couple different ways, right? You can attend, networking events, business networking events in that community, which is a lot of what I did, because I like working with business owners. That was really kind of my avatar. I felt a kindred spirit with them because it started a business. I'd started a business. By the way, every agent is a business owner. But it could be like a mom's group, right? It could be an investment group. It could be, something that gets you engaged in meeting people where there's similar interest. That is networking, and that's what you want to do. You just want to get in the relationship with people. And then the third and final step is marketing, right? Most people start with marketing first, which can be a mistake because they haven't earned $1 yet. So they're spending money before they've earned $1. But the idea is, you want to spend about 10 to 15% of your revenue, GCI, in advertising. So which means that you need to make $1 first, right? And then you're allowed to spend 10 to 15, dollars in marketing to get the word out there about what you do. So marketing is a big piece of it, but that's typically the last piece, right? And I could, you and I could do a whole discussion and go really, really deep on marketing. And by the way, if you have marketing questions, feel free to ask, right?
definitely, definitely. So what do you think the benefits, like the top benefits of being a hyperlocal real estate agent?
Oh, efficiency.
Yeah.
Efficiency is probably one of the biggest things, right? So think about this. The power of, well, okay, the analogy I always give is this. You get a magnifying glass, and we all know this from when we're little kids, or at least, I don't know if you played with a magnifying glass, but I did. And I would try to burn things. Maybe that's just a boy
Yeah.
thing to do, right? So
Yeah.
anyhow, you get that magnifying glass and you put it on a piece of paper. And if you move that piece of paper, that magnifying glass around, it never catches fire. You have to hold it there for an extended period of time. And then you start seeing smoke rising, right? And then all of a sudden it just kind of catches fire. Well, that is the power of having a hyper local territory, right? You've got to focus your energy on that. It's going to take a little bit of time, but eventually it catches fire. And what happens is one success leads to another success. So if you get a listing in that area, you get to put a sign in that yard. That sign attracts buyers, right? Which gives you the opportunity to have open houses, which means that you can get in the relationship with more people, which means that neighbors saw that you then sold that property, put a sold sign on there. And when you do that 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times in a community, people start seeing you. And instead of having to drive all over God's creation in order to sell properties, right?
Yeah.
You are focused in a very tight area. And there's what I call this kind of layering effect that occurs, right? And your marketing can become way more efficient because you're not spread out with your marketing. You're very focused. So it's more efficient when it comes to your dollars. It's more efficient when it comes to your time, right? And it compounds on itself. That's probably one of the biggest things. It's compounding constantly. So.
Yeah. I mean, so obviously we're big about building community. Do you think hyperlocal is kind of the key to build community in a real estate business? Like for agents that want to focus on that building community piece, is that hyperlocal kind of what they're missing?
Say that last piece again. Sorry. I was checking out the comments.
So is the hyperlocal the key, for people or agents that want to build community? Is that kind of the key, maybe the missing puzzle piece of their business that they're, not getting that building community at that high level?
So it's interesting, right? We use that concept of creating community, meaning, we want to build a tribe of people, and I think by nature we are community-driven social kind of animals, right? Like we love being part of groups, and we love being part of teams. And when you focus on an area, you all have the ability to rally around something. And when you focus on a hyperlocal area, you have the ability to focus around the community, right? Itself. And so the more that you can actually give to the community, strangely enough, the community gives back to you. That's just how it works. It's called the law of reciprocity. So to answer your question, yes, I think what happens is agents don't focus on building community and coming from contribution and adding enough value to the place where maybe they raise their children or have their home, and instead are being pulled in lots of different directions. And because of that, they make a living, but they don't create a life. And what we want to do is we want to build a life in the community, right? So it's what I love about this business. And by the way, within a community, there's lots of communities, right? So think of it that within a community like Reston, which is where I live, there's lots of micro communities, and there's micro influencers in all those communities. So, Lake Anna is one community. Yesterday, I was with Mark Beckett, who is the president of his community called The Wharf in South Reston. Completely different area, right? Completely different vibe, right? And so, within the community, there's micro communities.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, looks like we have a question. So how can agents benefit from network development with professionals such as myself?
How can agents from network? Oh, well, that's my favorite way, right? So what I found through the years is that relationships, in my opinion, are your highest ROI as a business owner, right? Nobody succeeds alone. So in our world, in our CAZA language, we call that Farm One, developing relationships with people that you can serve and they serve you back. So business relationships with people in the trades, huge, right? So think of all the different, I call it building a dream team. Think of all the different people that kind of play within our space. Construction, water preservation, damage kind of companies, like he's talking about, mortgage loan officers, people that clean homes, landscapers, the list goes on and on and on and on. Estate companies, I mean, the list goes on and on. Attorneys. So if you can build professional relationships with key players and people that that have the same heart that you do, want to serve clients at the same level that you want to serve clients with, then they become part of your professional world, and you guys are just going to work back and forth together for years, right? A great relationship is a lifetime relationship.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
build, just to answer the question more specifically, building a database of people that know you, like you, and trust you, that are in the professional services area, is wildly valuable. And it's hugely underrated, I believe, in this market. And it starts, I always say that your entire business, and no matter what business you're in, can be built on a cup of coffee, right? Just having a cup of coffee or breaking bread with somebody and getting to know them and what they need and what they want, and then being able to help them get what they need and what they want. And when you do that, you end up getting everything that you would ever need or ever want. Very simple.
Yeah, very simple. Last question for you. Obviously, we're all about building community and, that impact. So for you specifically, how do you impact the lives around you in the Reston, Virginia community?
Well, a couple things. We run, there's two ways specifically. I'll tell you the one way that I love the most, right, is that I help people in our local community create wealth through real estate, right? That's the one that's like my, flag in the sand. And I've been running a local real estate investment group for the last 13 years, the first Tuesday of every month. And we help people understand how to build wealth through real estate. Like I've got a passion for that. The second thing that we've been doing is we run a blog called Rest and Digs. And I love interviewing the local business owner that has a story and featuring them, on our social channels. It's my way of giving to them. It's my way of amplifying, my audience to them. And I find that the more that I give to them, the more that they give back. That's how I do it. Right. That's my secret sauce, but there's other people that Matt does it a little differently. Right.
Yeah. Everybody has their own unique spin to it, depending on the community. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Rob, and sharing all of it, about Hyperlocal Real Estate. Obviously, if anybody would like to get in touch with you to learn more about Grid or Zone, or obviously Rest and Digs, they know where to find you. Or if anybody is interested in real estate or talking more about Hyperlocal, definitely reach out to me. But I want to thank you again for jumping on here today. Obviously, I'm Jennie from the block, and I'll be on next week talking about the basics of real estate, how to get involved, how to get your license, and so thanks again.
Thanks, Jennie. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.